Hello and welcome to season 4 of Own Your Divine Light show. Today's topic is accelerating ascension during times of chaos and pandemic. This is an amazing time going on. I'm Isla Serena Miller, the magical name of Janet, and I'm stepping into that more and more. And as I said, we've been going through so much right now, and it's feeling like things are lifting, and yet there is still a lot going on the horizon that is unknown. And through all of this, we are meant to create a new way of being. And today's guest is an exceptionally talented healer and Robin Barros. So welcome, Robin. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And I'm going to tell you a little more about Robin. Robin is the founder of Spirit of the Lotus. She is a hands-on healer specializing in integrative manual therapy and a medical intuitive. She is a shaman, a medium, and a spiritual coach, as well as being an advanced coach and a past life coach and holographic sound healer. Robin works with spinal cord and traumatic brain injury, digestive issues, trauma, PTSD, abuse clients with amazing, and I'm not kidding you, gang, amazing results. She stocks a full line of homeopathic remedies, functional medicine, complete detox programs for Lyme disease to HPV, and so much more. Spirit of the Lotus is located in Columbia, Connecticut, and Robin works with people around the world in person, virtual, and by the phone. And more of that can be found on her website, https://spiritofthelotus.org. And welcome, Robin. I am so excited that you're here. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, I know how talented you are, Robin, on what you do with people. And I know the results people get. So it's so wonderful that you can offer what you do. And so, because of this pandemic that we're in, and since it started, we're learning to appreciate our health more and more, aren't we? We're really getting into that, knowing how precious our health is. So what have you experienced as a medical intuitive in your practice, and what is showing up for your clients? Because, I think that would really help people see what you've been going through as a therapist as well, to understand that there's what's happening when you're doing your holistic work.
It's actually been an amazing 15, 16 months of all the shifts that are going on for a few that haven't worked and have been able to stay home with family, maybe for the first time in a lot of their relationships and family time. Children being home from school and moms not being able to go to work. Some people learning to work from home. I find that many things are coming up for people. One, if they got sick, also if they're around people and they notice that other infections seem to be rising or manifesting, old weaknesses such as Lyme's, herpes, shingles, the different parasites, candida. What I also notice is that during this time, for the people who haven't been working in the way that they're used to, especially like I used to work 2 or 3 jobs and just kept running, you get used to being stressed, you get used to being off kilter, but you don't have time to think about it. And some people really had an opportunity, which was a gift that they weren't expecting, to learn what it feels like to be quiet and to not be running. And some of them became aware of their adrenal fatigue. Some of them became more aware of the pain that they'd been suffering prior, and just how affected their immune system was, and how much they were concerned about getting sick.
Sure.
A few did. Many really decided what was important for them during this period of time. And that was probably a major influx for so many. But I think the coming up with ways to stay healthy, to recognize the difference of being home, to learn how to go within, what to do, because many people that were getting treatments when everything shut down were kind of on their own. So a lot of insecurities popped up for some. Some found more rest than they've had in a very long time. It really ran the gamut. Really
Yeah,
ran the gamut.
it's so interesting. And I don't always start with that question, but because I know what you've been doing and,
I
it's
think
just, yeah, go ahead.
the vulnerability people felt
Mhm.
in even having an opinion became a real issue. So I think
Sure did.
finding themselves feeling very vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting thing just came up with me. I'm like, and I've been feeling pretty okay. I mean, not perfect. I've been on the roller coaster like everyone else, but clenching of the teeth. Have people been complaining about that? I'm like, what's that coming from now?
And that very well could be because of stress. It can also be from frequencies and tension. I mean,
Ah, uh-huh.
right now you're in the midst of doing a million things and stress is number one. So it's pretty common, but I do have people who, when we go in and loosen the jaw, the teeth, the whole bit, the teeth really reflect health or non-health to the entire body.
Mhm.
Number one reason for heart issues can be issues with the teeth.
It's so interesting to know, because so many people ignore their teeth.
Uh,
And it's just a sad thing to see because I have relatives that totally ignored their teeth to the point where it was abominable. And they weren't like my relative, but they were like connected to a relative.
yeah,
And it was shocking. And they passed young.
yeah.
And this was before the COVID.
I came in my family, my mom had black teeth. I mean, she
Oh,
was so grateful to have all of her teeth pulled and to get false teeth.
sure.
Um, I was unfortunate enough to be treated by a dentist who cheated and ended up filling a whole bunch of teeth for no reason, ended up in jail for fraud.
Really?
Um, and then the mercury issue, then pulling the mercury and then finding out that there's a whole nother bacteria that affects people with porcelain crowns that can actually negatively affect the jaw. That happens with the mouth. The mouth is a major organ in our body. It causes and can create great health or great illness.
I think that's good for people to hear because I know, I know about some of your mercury issues that you had, and other people are talking about getting theirs out. And there's like a new technique going on. I can't even describe it, but there's a whole new system to replace the mercury, to shift all that out of it. And it's like a brand new service coming up. These are like
It'll be
state of the art.
interesting
There's
because
there's one locally in Connecticut I just found out about, so I'll have to, but just for people to know, there are ways to get those things addressed. Don't just go to your mainstream dentist. There's a lot of other people around to help you with this. So don't just settle for mainstream.
yeah,
And
holistic dentals. I heard of biological dentists lately.
yes, yes.
Um,
There's
so
one, there's one in Farmington, Connecticut, and I don't have the name. I just heard about it, and it's like a brand new thing. So if anyone needs to know, you can always check into Farmington, Connecticut area, Google it. There's got to be that dentist name popping up. So I'm just letting that out there in case someone has like, really tough time with their teeth, because as you're saying, it's such an important thing. And who, I didn't know that was going to come up, but you know how important that is that we're telling this to people. And I know how many relatives I've seen, like two people I knew, two friends that passed because of their teeth, because they did not take care of it.
doing the peroxide in the irrigator along with making sure that I have plenty of the liposomal vitamin C, because the two need to be hand in hand, and to clear away any bacteria or abscesses in the teeth. So we'll see how it progresses and everything. But I actually have a very dear friend who she's in the midst of going through mouth cancer right now. She had the same thing I did, and then she ended up having to pull all of her teeth because she ended up with the bacteria eating away at her jaw. And I just keep saying prayers for her behalf and her health. And we just didn't know that something else could pop up. We need to be so well balanced that when we have something that creates a bacteria or a virus or a germ, that our immune system can handle it. But when we are being bombarded by toxins from every avenue, whether it's our water, whether it's our food, the packaging our food comes in, the makeup we put on our face, to the laundry detergent that we use, we really have to become aware of what is going on our body and in our body, so that we can stay balanced and in homeostasis.
Yeah. And I so agree with that. And so I guess this was meant to come out, because we always ask for the highest frequency of information to come through, and look at what's coming through. And I'm like, I'm so happy that we're talking about it, because it seems to be coming up more and more, because our immune systems are getting so compromised right now with all the things going on.
Yes.
Well,
the other thing that I didn't realize, I just had an amazing class on vitamin D. And I knew vitamin D was essential for good health.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was being out of vitamin D in your body can literally cause bone pain, can cause massive headaches, can cause the autoimmune issues and fibromyalgia. And people talk about taking 400 IUs. They said that doesn't even touch the body as much as like minimums of 4,000.
Really?
To be able to bring the body into what it needs in the vitamin D. And there has been massive research. There have been huge clinical studies. They're in many of the periodicals. Doctors all over that are not being censored, and those that are talking about the vitamin D. And knowing, though, that it can cause extreme bone pain and pain spots on your body, the inability to even touch your skin in some cases for people is extreme, but it's true. And it is, we always have gamuts, and hopefully people who are not taking vitamin D right now yet are in better shape in other ways, so that they're not feeling the extreme pain of that lack. But people need to start checking. There are many periodicals talking about how you should have your blood tested and make sure that your vitamin D levels are up. And this is a worldwide epidemic. They quoted in some cases 90% of people are lacking in vitamin D.
Wow. That is shocking. And well, that's part of that seasonal issue people get.
Yes.
If you're not out in the sun, and look at how much we've been isolated. So if you're isolated, go out in the sun. You've got to go up and get a good grade vitamin D. Maybe talk to a homeopath. You have to get a naturopathic doctor, someone that
I actually have an amazing vitamin D.
And Robin has it too. Robin does this work. Yeah, Robin does.
Homeopathic and a very natural base, and glutathione and all those things. But it is also just being out in the sun isn't enough. You can't cover your skin with toxic materials called sunscreen. You have to really be able to, even if it's just 20 minutes, allow your skin, all of your skin, to absorb sunlight.
Okay.
It's just imperative today. And I find that with the amount of rain and thunderstorms we've had lately, that I almost crave the sunshine now that I know. The piece that I didn't know when I was growing up, because I would burn and
Yeah.
I would blister and my eyes would swell up when I was in the sun for too long, was that that was because I was calcium insufficient.
Oh.
So when I'm going to be out in the sun for more than 20 minutes, an hour or 2 hours, I will take much more of a very high quality calcium, magnesium, and a K2, which will allow my body to absorb the sunlight and not burn and blister. So my light skin is very sensitive, but it's because of my deficiencies in nutrients. So we really have to look at where we're deficient.
Mm,
If we can't handle nature, there's a reason.
that's interesting. And I know
Because we lack Twinkies.
oh no, not Twinkies. And I used to love Twinkies as a kid, but if they can last as long as they last, who knows what's in those things.
Oh my God, they can embalm us with the darn
They
thing.
could embalm us in a Twinkie. They definitely could. Yes. But, you know, I can also say I am a recipient of the using of the programs that Robin does with her Des Bio work and the detox. And I've been on a detox myself for 77 days at least now. And it's amazing. I can see my skin better. I have more clarity in my brain. I mean, you know, I had clarity, but yet it's better. I'm recalling things that I could never like even hear in songs. Like I was listening to old songs in the 60s that I always had a part that I could not hear the words in my mind. It just wouldn't make sense. And I was listening on the radio driving and I heard them and I knew exactly what they said. And
Wow.
I said, isn't that interesting? I have never been able to figure out what they were saying. And now I am. And that was a nice little validation of what this work is doing, that I'm doing this detox to you, Robin. So I want to just tell people this a little testimonial because I know the quality of things that you offer and it's really, really amazing. And the liposomals, that's what's part of it. This is what I've been taking, the liposomals with the detox, and they are incredible. They are incredible. So this is also my own, you know, experience. So just for people to know that there's things out there to help you. And so this is what we're in this ascension work, and to be an ascension, right? You have to, it's really important to have your body in good health as well, because as you're saying, we're being bombarded. So in many, many ways.
The other thing that's so important in my work, I seem to work so much with people that have had traumatic events in their life, many when they were very, very young. The piece that I find very difficult for people to understand is the effort to go into the pain of their traumas, especially when they were kids.
Mm.
And mainly because they feel like they've already done that work. Like they've done that, been there, and they've gotten to this place where they can pretty much ignore it.
Mm.
But it continues to come up, to go into different levels. And I think the piece that if I could only get one important piece out to people, because everybody talks about working with the inner child. But what I find is clients want to work with the inner child from the mind that they have today,
Now, yeah.
from the age that they are, from the wisdom that they are, and they forget that the trauma that they have from, say, a 5-year-old
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who was traumatized. And we're talking about, you know, a minor trauma, not just sexual abuse, rape, pedophilia, all that stuff. That's not a minor abuse. That's massive abuse. And that takes a lot. And it affects people tremendously. But even one abuses that when we were young and we thought we could handle it and we thought we were consenting and we thought we knew, those are the things that people think, I've already done the work, so, don't keep going there.
Mhm.
But there's the piece of the 5-year-old who still lives within us, who still feels traumatized,
Mm.
terrorized, hurt. And that 5-year-old has left a hole or a wound within that person that reflects in everything that happens afterwards. It contributes to their judgments. It contributes to fear, to trust, to their whether or not they feel safe, whether or not they can speak their truth. And many times it's in the hiding of that, the coping with that, that is so difficult. And once that piece truly gets honored and healed, today's issues will not reflect and traumatize and trigger as distinctly.
Wow.
But for me, I find I'm working with people who have done a lot of work. Many of them are therapists
Sure.
as well.
Of course.
And they still don't realize how much it's affecting them.
Mm. Yeah.
Or even maybe, so now I know, but what do I do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the work that I find so incredible, because people's entire lives change when they finally get to that place and they finally able to honor the 5-year-old as a 5-year-old rather than a 5-year-old as a 50-year-old who, that wasn't that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, that's with a more minor trauma and not sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is a huge trauma that will stay with a person for a very, very long time. And the guilt around it, the hiding around it, the fear and everything, that's another big thing that I work with a lot of clients. And it affects how they nourish themselves, how they behave, how they cherish who they are, how they reach out, whether they have boundaries, which we were talking just recently about boundaries. Like there are many levels of boundaries.
Yeah.
And most of us are aiming to please or help others become happy and not necessarily ourselves become happy.
That was my mantra for years and years and years. And I know you have that same mantra.
It's a tough one. I think a lot of people, there are very few people that haven't had trauma in their life.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's why we're here, isn't it? To learn through trauma and to help others to get through their trauma. It's like we have to experience it to be able to help others, because we wouldn't have the compassion, because you cannot be in that
Empathy we need.
Pardon me?
The empathy that we need for others, that we can, so that we can help them as healers to not just look at it, but how to move through it and how to reframe it so that it can make a positive reinforcement to their life and not a fear-based negative effect.
Right, right. I mean, to really look at it and to what did you get from that has, what are the parts that you had, like you're talking about the release of the trauma, but yet that can also be transformed in some sort of a gift that changed your life to get you on a path that you probably would have never picked if this hadn't happened, tripped you up in a way, but still set you on the course you were meant to be on.
And even with this time in our lives, with everything that's going on, I keep reminding people who feel very vulnerable that many of us have found our greatest gifts in our most broken states.
Mm.
And I don't know about you, but I did.
Oh
It took
yeah,
a
of
long
course.
time, and I continue to work on my own healing, but it developed in me my abilities so that I could see them.
Yeah.
Until then, I had no idea.
I had none. I mean, growing up in an alcoholic family. Then I became alcoholic, 29 years sober. But it took the first 15 years at least to actually almost become a human again, to
Yeah.
feel my feelings as a real person would, because we have frozen feelings. It's so medicated and hidden because we've pushed down all the trauma that we experience, and then we, medicate ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's another, and that's what's going on right now for a lot of people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people self-medicating in that way, and depressed.
Addiction doesn't always have to be a negative thing. I have clients who come in with grocery bags full of vitamins.
Yep.
So, and I tell my story with my clients about not realizing what addiction meant, about
Mm,
overeating, about, my addiction to coffee, about my addiction to stuff, about my addiction to distractions.
of course.
Until my son was in Afghanistan, until one day I stopped long enough to let myself feel that fear.
Mm,
And then, I really thought that I would never stop crying when I realized how much I was stuffing that feeling,
mm,
even with the the instant need to go have a cup of coffee. It wasn't what I was having, it was my coping mechanism to change my mind and to change my thoughts so I could go off and just go about my daily business. And I think, it can be retail therapy, it
oh
can
yeah.
be an addiction to healing, it can be an addiction to coffee, to exercise, to sex, to drugs, to
To
whatever.
overgiving and giving so much that you have nothing for yourself, and you're so depleted, and you still can't see that either.
We need to really look within so much more than we do, and we're encouraged not to. We still are encouraged that no pain, no gain, and just work hard, not just work smart, but work hard, to prove our successes and such. And it's not, it's a program, it's a marketing campaign, it's not how humans were meant to live. How do
Yeah.
you switch it?
Yep. Being in that world of, the 12 steps helped me a lot. I can honestly say helped clear my mind and get me on a path that I needed to get to. And I've said this before in other shows, but I needed to have a structure. I needed structure to get me and be with the kind of people that I saw as family. They were family to me,
Yeah.
because my own could not help through this. They were still stuck. They were stuck till the very end. So
When you did your work and when I did my work, it reflects to 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. Many of our relatives couldn't take the time, didn't know how, couldn't afford it. And we are probably the first in many generations. The people I work with are the first in generations to do the work of healing.
it's wonderful. It is a wonderful thing. So this is the good parts that come out of some of the things we're doing. We're carrying the ancestral load is what we're doing, aren't we? Because we
Allowing our
help clear it.
kids, yeah, and we're allowing our kids to start somewhat fresh with their own stuff, not our stuff and their grandparents' stuff and their parents' stuff. They get to kind of move on and create their own stuff. And I think, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
be somewhat independent and to be allowed to really experience this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a thought and it went out of my head. I was going to talk about something, but I can't think of it right now.
Sorry.
But that's so good though, what you said. It is. And it was, and what was that? It was, oh, I remember. It was something when I first got into the 12 steps and then got open to spirituality, because that led me into spirituality. And just the readings through the different books that I read in that program were amazing spiritual books. And Bill W., the founder, he was an amazing spiritual man. I mean, he had insights that I wasn't never ready, I could never see until I was in that program. And then it opened the door to this spiritual work, this work, the ascension work, and the higher consciousness. And we're so much more to live in love and to move into that, you know, compassion. I mean, nobody's perfect, believe me. We're not perfect here. We're all constantly changing and shifting, but it just is. I knew there was more in life, and this was what it turned out to be. And is that what happened to you? I mean, what was your turning point when you stepped into this work? What caused you to do it?
Well, I literally saw people as I was healing myself,
Mm-hmm.
from barely being able to walk, to having cancer, to learning how to heal my own physical body, then craving the classes that would teach me how to feel, how to understand, how to diagnose, and to help heal, to learn the gifts. But then as I truly began working with people, getting the encouragement to work with people, and then seeing the miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how many people can see multiple miracles and not want to continue to do the work. I mean, I worked with a spinal cord injury clinic in Atlanta a couple of summers, and there were people there that were told that they would never ever breathe, they would never ever walk, they would never ever, and they had completed marathons.
Wow.
So for me, I saw that as being amazing. I remember meeting one woman online when I was doing Denise Lynn's Facebook page, and she asked for prayers, and she said that she was being told by the surgeon that she was going into surgery the next morning. She had a tumor on her jugular vein, and that she had a 30% chance of survival. And she asked for prayers. And I asked her if I could send her healing. And she said yes. And she knew the moment that that tumor lifted
Wow.
and released. She had talked to family members and many, many times. We really discussed certain things so that she knew where it came from, what it was. And I said to her before I signed off for the night, don't allow them to cut without testing first to see if the tumor is still there. And there were other things that I saw in my connection. She was in Canada and I was here in Connecticut. So there was a huge distance. It was just a quick distance healing. And it was amazing. And she went in and they made her test a couple more times, take MRIs every couple of months. I think it was every 6 months or every 3 months. I can't remember now. I have it in writing or text back and forth. And they couldn't figure out how it was gone when she went in for surgery the next day. That's a rare thing. Normally, miracles don't happen instantly like that. But she changed her life at that moment. She ended up talking to her family and her kids. There was some tears and some crying and some awarenesses. And many people have to work longer on their healing than that. But so many times you see miracles. Miracles are real.
Mm-hmm.
They are only for those that don't know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Everything is possible.
Yeah, I remember Greg Braden sharing a story about his journey, and I can't remember if he had cancer or something, and they had to go in and take it out. And he said, "Give me 3 weeks." So he took all the things he knew and he applied it all. and he did exactly what you said you told Denise Lynn to do. And he went in and he said, test me. They test him. They goes, there's nothing here. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? And he was like, and you know, everyone has doubts until it happens to you like that. And then your whole life changes in such a big way that he just totally shifted again. He said it just confirmed everything. And it's really what we're leading to now. This is where we are as people, as humanity. We're moving into ourselves as creators and manifestors of our own, and we can literally shift our own DNA, can't we? When you, I mean, you might have help with someone like you. I'm not saying that there isn't any, but we can, there's access to it. It's available.
Yeah.
And this is the miracles that we have available to us right now. And this is what's opening up. So when people say, oh, you know, just holistic healers, they're not going to do enough. Well, that isn't true. You have a testimonial right there to what happens.
And we connect today so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can think about somebody and connect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because my first intuition is the ability to feel. So I feel stuff before I see stuff. And now I have encouraged myself to learn all the other types of intuition. But to teach someone else that sometimes what they're feeling isn't theirs, and then to ask, whose is it?
Yeah.
You know, is also a gift. I can't remember who it was, but the other day someone was feeling some extreme pain out of the blue. And I asked, but is it yours?
Mm.
I'm not feeling that it's yours. And she asked, and then she went, oh, wait, it isn't mine. So that's something that I have a difficult time with, because I'm not always sure how to let it go. With clients, I have no problem. With loved ones, I have a tendency to get connected and not let go. But many people are learning that that's a truth in their reality as well.
Yeah, I know you've had some real interesting circumstances. I don't know if you want to share at least one to show people how true this is for you to feel things, because I think people don't understand how visceral this is, that you can really be in an experience. Because I think many of us that are empathic, that are waking up, are feeling lots of feelings, and they're not theirs, like you're saying, and they're their family or they're the community around them, and they're taking it on and they get sick and they don't even understand that it's not them.
Right. So recently, the most profound one that I had was I was working on someone, and all of a sudden I had a pain in my heart that I thought, you know, somebody reached in, grabbed my heart, was squeezing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked the person on the table, are you having pain in your chest? And the person was like, no, I'm not. And then I finally, the pain became so extreme, I had to leave. And I went outside, I stood on the ground and grounded. And then, you know, and apologized. And then it went away. I had that same thing 2 more times. And then I went in for my own healing one day, and the pain lessened after my work with my mentor, but I still had pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the pain disappeared. It was just gone. It was like, oh, wait, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's nice. Thank you. And at 1:30, I got a phone call from my former sister-in-law, or my sister-in-law, whatever you call. And she said, you know, your father-in-law made it through surgery. His pacemaker was put in and he's doing fine. And the days that I had felt the excruciating pain, I didn't even think to add him to my list of who was having a problem to ask. And he had had multiple heart attacks, and then he had had one the day before, and then he was in for surgery. So those were the days that I was feeling that pain, but I didn't have him on my list because I hadn't had contact with them in like 5 years. And so I didn't even think about it. And we can feel it. I mean, I have another really close friend who we could feel his father's. And first he thought it was mine. I thought it was his. And then it was like, no, I think it's your father's. And then he called his mom and asked about his pacemaker and see when they were getting a charge on the voltage on the pacemaker, because you can now see it on your cell phone.
Amazing.
And the mom's like, knock it off, you're freaking me out. Because he would know it was his dad, and his dad was having fibrillations and the pacemaker was working, but he was feeling the jolt.
And you were also feeling it.
I was also feeling it. Yeah.
That's an amazing thing too, because you can
It's
share it now.
weird.
You're sharing it with somebody.
Yeah.
So this is talking about unity consciousness, which is another way of looking at unity consciousness. Probably not the easiest way, but then once you get to that point, it's also, I think it's almost a lead into telepathy as well. Because when, yeah.
Yeah. That, and think about it when there is mass issues where we have tornadoes, hurricanes, where we have a shooting, something that happens where huge amounts of people are affected, fires, where there's this bombardment of emotions,
Mhm.
like a wave that can be felt by people on Earth. So we can feel it when there is a group of people who have severe depression or have really strong emotions, whether it's happy or whether it's sad.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will say, I was fine a little while ago, and then all of a sudden this wave just came over me and I'm feeling really depressed or full of grief, or I'm feeling really scared. And it is the collective.
Mm.
How is the collective feeling? Or how is a mass group? It's kind of like gang mentality when, you know, the people who didn't win the football game and they start burning cars, or maybe the riots even, where
Mm.
huge amounts of people will get together and start doing things they would never on their own do.
Mm.
They get swept up in those emotions and in those feelings, and they're part of the group. So it's, people are feeling a lot of stuff right now, more so than ever before. It's stronger. The emotions are stronger.
And that it's also showing us how our DNA is shifting. Also, don't you think our DNA is shifting in a way to open up these doors? I know my sense of smell is even more increased than I can imagine right now. Even my sense of taste is changing. Things I used to like, I'm going, this doesn't taste good anymore. It tastes fake. It's almost like this doesn't taste real anymore. It really, you can taste the artificial in it. It's like, wow, this is all of a sudden in the last month.
Think about all the stuff that they say are natural flavors, which really is code for chemicals.
It's incredible. And so things are changing so rapidly, and to tell people that things that are happening to each of us, and especially you with what you're going through, it's been phenomenal. And perhaps to people to be aware of that is really something to know, because they think they're crazy, or they think, you know, we all think we're crazy. That's our first thought, like, oh no, I'm really going crazy. But yet it's not. It's really a mass consciousness that's opening up, and we're meant to be a unified group. So, I mean, it's not like we're all going to think the same and do the same, but we're going to connect in a much more intimate, deeper way, right? A much more deeper way. Like they even say when you do telepathy that you get so much more from it. Like you feel everything, like you feel the person's emotions, the nuances. Like when you talk, like we're talking, we understand, we feel things from each other, but when you're in the telepathy, you get it all. Like there's no doubt of what you're feeling and getting from this person. There's no doubt. And so, I mean, this is what I understand by people who have experienced it when they, you know, different things.
And apparently there's no lying either.
Oh, you can't lie. There's no lying whatsoever.
You can't hide your thoughts or your feelings.
No.
Which is part of the human condition, the ability to pick and choose your words. Whether that's good or bad, I guess depends on who you're dealing with, but it is a tough one. It's
Well,
a,
that's, yeah,
makes us
that's
all
a,
very vulnerable.
plus we're talking about radical honesty, radical responsibility. And this is radical. Now, the word radical comes into radical transparency too.
Yeah.
You've got to show who you truly are. And, if you don't have the greatest thoughts, it's going to come across. People are going to get it. So, and if you're stuck or you're scared, you can't hide it. If people are there for you in a way that they want to be, you have to be willing to, let them be there for you. So
Yeah.
it's like they'll see it. You don't have to accept it, of course. You always have choice. It's still a free will, but yet people will see it and go, okay, I see what you're going through. What can I do? And
Yeah.
it's a deeper connection immediately, I think. Don't you think that?
I also think it's really hard for some people to receive.
Oh, of course.
Is something, I mean, I think all of us have been programmed to give.
Hmm.
I think a lot of times it is hard to admit that we need, and it's hard to admit that it's difficult for us to receive. Gifts should be gifts, not requirements
Yeah.
or something given so that you get something in return.
Hmm.
It should come from the heart.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's part of the divine feminine that's opening up, because it's kind of come to the forefront. Besides that, we've got to move out of the patriarchy dominance and move into the both harmonizing of the divine masculine and feminine, but the feminine is the receiver. And so many women are the givers, but they don't know how to receive, just being women. But men and women both have feminine in them. Of course, we know they both have masculine. But the whole part of that is also coming into play right now. Women are,
And as givers, we really enjoy that. We like to give
yeah,
in many cases. It's kind of like on Christmas, some of us prefer watching somebody else open their gift, and they want to see the excitement. They want to see the sparkle in the person's eye, the love of what they're getting. And we need to give that in return as well. And when we can't receive a gift, when it becomes an obligation, we almost rob the other person of their ability to give. And
that's
we
true.
forget that it's supposed to go, that we're all supposed to go around and round, and
That
give
circle.
each other the opportunity to really enjoy giving as well as receiving. I love gifts. I love presents. I love giving them and I love getting them. And it's like the cook who loves to cook wants to know somebody loves to eat what they're cooking,
Right, right.
and in the reverse.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's like that song, The Circle of Life. This is part of the circle. To complete that circle, you have to give and receive. And this is part of that whole unification going on, becoming that creator being that we are, and living in presence, staying present. I mean, all the stuff we talk about, like we're bringing that into this time. I'm just feeling that as you're talking and saying what you're saying. It just all makes these connections for me as you're saying those things. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why it just makes so much sense what we're going through right now. When we talk about our experiences, what's happening during this pandemic, chaotic time we're in, the things you've experienced are incredible. I mean, all those that that to me, telepathy that you're already moving into is showing up. It's just showing up because of the feelings that you're feeling first, because feelings is number one, and all of us are really being encouraged to move into our heart, aren't we? Move into the heart, to feel the feelings first, get out of our head. If you're stuck in your head, touch your heart, let it go down. You know it's going to shift it. It's not going to be the same there. It totally changes the way you look at things.
yeah,
Do you feel that?
I do. I
Yeah.
do.
So my goodness, this time is flying by here, and this is a great topic though. It's so perfect for, this is our final episode of the show. So it's kind of exciting to be doing this with you. And as you can tell, Robin and I are good friends here. So it's kind of exciting to, and Robin's been on before, but Robin, we've all accelerated in our work and done different things, and everyone is changing and shifting. So
So much has changed.
insights, so much has changed, so much, we've changed a lot. Each one of us can look at the shift in our life and, you know, whatever it is, look at the gifts, right? Well, what do you see? What have you benefited from in your life during this pandemic?
For me, the hardest thing in the last 16 months was the time that I had to spend by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and the time that I wasn't able to visit with my son and grandson and such. But even when I felt alone before, as being, a single person, I had work.
Mm-hmm.
And then even for a while, there was no work either. And so that made me feel very, very vulnerable.
Mm.
Then I started to really enjoy my organic gardening and my flowers and being outside and being able to have the freedom to rest when I needed and wake when I wanted, and then choose.
Yeah.
And still work is, there's very little work right now because people are still afraid to come out. They still want a mask. They want to, there's just so much confusion. And yet there is enough to say, I've got some stuff going on. But I think getting to know myself and really coming even closer to understanding what's so important to me personally was a gift. And even now I'm at the place where I finally got to see my son and my grandson after, a year and a half, almost 2 years, because I hadn't seen them since Christmas of 2019. So it had been a very, very long time. And now he's almost ready to deploy again. And so I won't get to see him for quite some time again. It's a tough time, but I feel like the people who are staying balanced and working towards homeostasis are finding a lot of joy in life. And so I hope that continues. I really, really do. And I'm going to encourage people to eat well and to be the best that they can be at staying in balance. Body, mind, and spirit. It's all we've got right now.
It's absolutely the truth. And, exercise has been my hardest thing. And I keep saying, I got to go back and do more things. I would walk, but some days you just can't get out and walk because it's been pouring rain. I mean, you can walk in the rain. Right now we have a beautiful day, but, send prayers around Mother Earth that things balance out here, because we have a lot of rain on this planet right now and a lot of tumultuous weather, very unusual weather. And keep your prayers on it and send prayers to all parts of the earth, no matter where they are.
No matter.
Because there's so much going on. So I had this question. I don't know if it's worth asking, but I'm going to ask and see if it is. You kind of answered it, but from your spiritual perspective, why do you think we are meant to be going through this chaos at this time?
I think we need to clean up our act.
Okay.
And I think that we have to decide how much we're willing to let other people do with or without our permission, and how much corruption is okay, and how much toxins are okay. I think that we have to clean up our act as a whole. And it's time for people to start taking responsibility for not only their own life, but what's going on around them. And really take responsibility for teaching themselves and their kids and their loved ones, and for finding ways to be healthier and not throwing it all off because, oh, I can't afford it, or, it's expensive to be healthy, or it's this or it's that. We really need to stop putting our faith in the people that are supposedly smarter than us, whether it's a mom hoping the pediatrician has all the answers, or a doctor, or a banker or a financial advisor or our politicians. I think we need to take responsibility and do real research and to notice when things are being censored, that there's something not quite right. Regardless of what you believe is the truth, can you look at other sides? And in the effort of bullying other people to do things that you think is right, not you, Janet, but
No, people in general. Yeah.
do you even know if what you're bullying them to do is safe?
Right.
It's a tough thing. It really is a time that we need to stand up for our rights, stand up for our health, stand up for our family and those around us, and make sure that this world is one that's safe, that children are safe, that they learn what's really the truth, not just what people want them to see, and be able to stand up on our own 2 feet.
Yeah, we've given a lot of that away. Thank you. And we're all seeing it. I mean, all of us have done it in all many ways. And we're starting to look at it and go, well, wow.
When you can't talk, when you get cut off and censored for talking about a vitamin, right? There's something not right there. When doctors who are treating people are being under threat of losing their licenses, whether it was for cancer, whether it was for Lyme's, whether it's now for COVID, when more money is spent to stop people from helping them become healthy than to threaten somebody's license, there's something not right.
Mm. Yeah, it's a lot to look at. It's a lot to be really aware of. That's why we have to be so present with what's going on around us. We cannot go back. No more going back to sleep, because it's not going to go, it's never going to go back to the way it was. So
I hope not in reality.
we can't. It's,
No.
I don't think we can, because of the changes that we've had. I mean, that's all. I don't know. I'm not the all seer, but
We have to know that pain is a sign that you need to do something different.
oh, no kidding.
And, you know, I know there was another one that just totally flew right out of my head, but pain is a signal. We don't want corruption. We don't want censorship. We want to.
And we don't want coercion to do
work,
something
you know,
it's not to.
We also want to work smart, not hard.
Yes, that's very good. And I think people are actually seeing that part. That part, I think, has kind of come across, because people love working remotely.
And we don't want people dying of heart attacks because they're stressed out to the max.
The stress level is very, very high in the world, all over the world, not just in the
So,
US.
you know, we need to find our health right now is worth gold.
It's the number one thing. That's why talking about health and all the different things you brought up was so important, to help people look at that part. Because if there's anything you can do, number one, for yourself, right, it's to take care of your health.
Yes.
That is your first ground of defense, is to take care of your health.
Yes.
Get out and walk. Don't just sit around on the TV and eat that popcorn. Get off the couch. I mean, you can eat it after a little while, but take the walk first, then go eat the popcorn. At least you've earned it. But yeah, we have to do things. I mean, we've got to keep strong right now, because that sentence, only the strong survive. I don't know. That's what keeps coming through.
Yeah.
If you get lowered down and you're in so much fear, I mean, we've all had our bouts of fear. Nobody here is not experienced any of that. We've all been through it, but we've got to keep looking at it and going, okay, I'm in charge of me right now. I'm in charge of me. I have to keep doing it for myself. So
Yeah.
Thank you for those words. Thank you for those words. So any last message? Any last thing you think you got to share with people that you want them to hear for what's going on in the world and what you feel they need to know?
So other than my offer.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
Okay. But I think I want people to know that we can connect anywhere at any time, and that it doesn't matter whether you're halfway around the globe or around the world, that there are people who want to listen, that there are people who want to help, and that you just have to reach out. Depression right now is at an all-time high, and suicide is awful right now, especially in children. So we need people to reach out to those we haven't heard from in a while, to,
Mm,
don't just stop talking to people because they have different opinions, but
mhm.
check in on friends, check in on relatives, check in on neighbors and the elderly. Make sure that, in everything that's going on, that they can get what they need and they have somebody to talk to. And if there is anything, anywhere that someone needs, all they have to do is reach out. Because
Right.
we are in a community that we can connect. And there is a lot of weird stuff going on in social media and stuff right now, but we still have the ability to connect.
Oh, we do,
And
especially even like this, privately.
yeah,
Privately. Yeah, you don't have to always go on a mainstream anything. Do it privately.
but we
Oh,
can send a message to anybody,
absolutely. Absolutely.
and just say, hey, how you doing?
So true. So true.
And
Good
I think
reminder. That's
that's
a good
part of the way
reminder.
forward as well.
Because we get caught up in our own world so much that we forget sometimes that the other people may need to hear from us.
Yeah,
And we're like, well, why aren't they calling us? Well, why aren't you calling them?
yeah. The telephone lines go both ways. And now
Hmm.
Wi-Fi, there are no lines. They
There
just
you go.
almost instantly.
I love it. So I know you have a special offer, a gift and an offer to people. So I'd love you to tell them about it, Robin.
Yeah, so I am offering a free connection, especially for those. I offer one per family for people who aren't sure if distance healing works.
Hmm.
I also offer consultation if it's in person, if they're here in Connecticut and they want to consult, if they want to look at liposomal vitamins or homeopathics or something, if they're interested in finding out if they can trust for me for healing work. But the distance healing, they will get a message so that they will know whether or not I've connected with them, so that they can decide whether they feel comfortable enough in working at a distance. And that is important for me because a lot of people are afraid of being conned, and a lot of people are afraid that people are just trying to convince them of something that isn't. And so with a free session, they will know whether or not they feel like they can trust. And that's a good connection with my thoughts on how I'd like to go forward for them, and a chat so that we know what's going on and what their goals and hopes are, and we'll go from there. I also will offer the 20% off any of the homeopathics and the liposomals with a treatment. And I have an online presence where the DesBio will actually ship anywhere in the world, and they can order online, and I can even put in the recommendations online, and it will all be taken care of if there's sales tax, if there's shipping, if there's no shipping, and so forth. So that's a really nice benefit. I don't ship everywhere in the world, but they do.
Hmm.
They're a world-renowned homeopathic company, and I love their products.
Yeah, I can also say that too. I've seen the difference in me. It's been amazing. It's been, what is it, 5 months?
Well, and none of them are overnight successes. Their detoxes are not a 2 week, feel bad and be done. These are long term. They go deep. They go into many, many levels, and it really, really works. Whether it's Lyme's, um, if it's herpes, if it's HPV, there's a lot of different things that we can work on. candida.
Yeah.
It's
And I know,
amazing.
and I can highly recommend that because doing the detox keeps your immune system up too. Even
Yeah,
though you're releasing the heavy metals, you're releasing a lot of toxins that are all around us and that we
a lot of
accumulated
toxins.
and that keeps coming. So the more you clear them out, the better you get, the more you can fight what's happening around you at the moment.
Exactly.
Very powerful. And
To
I
stay
highly
aligned
recommend.
and in balance.
Exactly. Aligned and balanced and harmonized. I mean, I really can say this detox hasn't been, it's been basically very gentle. I mean, you had a couple of days, but it's not, I've never been like flat out with anything. It's been just like, okay, so, maybe a little stomach upset one day or 2 days, but it's been for 77 days. It's been incredible and I'm still going. So I have another whole
Running around
regimen to
like
go
a
through.
crazy woman.
And this is all my own choice. You don't have to do the level I did, but I just know what I'm trying to work through. So we
Yeah.
all have things to work through and you have to make your choices. So thank you for that, Robin. And was there something else? That was the whole thing. That was a free session, and you had something else. You had another offer. Okay, you got it. All right. So, and I want to thank you all for listening. I know this is a little longer. This is, it was really wonderful. I hope you enjoyed it because I think that you brought in, Robin brought in some really, really important things to be aware of that we've heard about, but there's so much more. So just be aware that, there's people available to help you in any way they can. And there's somebody right here that can help you and different questions that you may have. You don't know what you need. That's why she offers that call. So please, we love your feedback. We love any comments. You can send it to ownyourdivinelight@gmail.com and we will have all that info down below. All of Robin's information will be down below in the email that you will receive when it's her day that we have. Each speaker is highlighted, for a couple of days so that you'll get to hear her talk and if you want to hear it again, you get to hear it again. And we will have a replay at the end. So please share it. And I want to thank you so much, Robin, for all that you have shared. And, you own your divine light so beautifully. You really do. And you have a limitless capacity to blaze your brilliant light through your passionate commitment to humanity. You really, really do. And I know this, I've seen it in action. You can hear it when she shares. And she's as a spirit priestess and earth mother guardian of your community with your leadership and genuine deep love for people. You provide the safety and the confidence that people are craving right now. And I know that because I've worked with you myself. So I'm talking about that from my own personal experience. Plus, just knowing the reputation that Robin has, it's amazing. So I thank you so much for your selfless service and it's so needed right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope you all will enjoy the offers that Robin offered. And I am Isla Serona Miller, and this completes our season 4 of Accelerating Ascension during times of chaos and pandemic. And my mission in bringing in this series and these incredible speakers to you all is to offer you the alternative solutions and opportunities that will support and guide you as we continue our incredible shift. I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
Interesting. A little emotional. It's a big time, gang. It's a big moment for all of us.
Good job.
Whew. As we guide you and continue our incredible shift into higher frequencies, as we embody our higher aspects and become, as yesterday Susan shared in her interview, instead of living in a body that has a soul, we move into living as a soul that has a body on our beautiful 5D Terra and join our galactic brothers and sisters. This is our mission, everyone. And mine, that's definitely mine. And I'm hoping that you're jumping on board with us. And Robin, I know you're in there. I know you're on that mission. So thank you all again for being part of this amazing season. And please reach out to all of us that are here for anything you may need, because we're all here for you. All right. Love you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I will see you next time we meet.